Good morning, everyone. If it's morning where you're at while you're watching this, I am David Safransky, your host of Financial Revelations. As always, I like to just reiterate where you can get in touch with us, how you can get a hold of us, how you can reach out to us at SkiBucks, the number 1. On Twitter, you can call us, 1-800-344-2534. You can listen to me on WCRF 103.3 on Thursday mornings, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard. And Moody also has an app that you can download and listen to it from anywhere. So you could also email Corey. That's the lovely assistant and production staff that we have here, Corey at epsf.com. And that's all going to be scrolling right under my lovely custom-made jacket. So there you have it. That's how you get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to answer questions from the crowd. And so if you have questions, comments, concerns, email us. We'll actually email you back and maybe even answer it here, as we're going to do today, on the podcast, on the long version. We did put out a quick hits this morning, so look for that. We're going to do that every week. Just something that I see that I think you need to hear or may want to hear. And I'm going to put it out really quick. So those are short. Those are only like a minute or 2 minutes long. So what I want to talk about today is we just had the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is in the books. It was actually a really good game. It was exciting. There was back and forth. In the first half, it looked like I was 100% sure Philadelphia was going to win. And then, of course, the Chiefs won the game. They're kind of a second-half team anyway. So this is the first time in quite some time we haven't had a player in the Super Bowl. And that was a little disconcerting. We have to get on that. I didn't even go to a party. I don't really like going to parties. I didn't have a party. I do have a huge TV at home and at the office if you ever want to come in and see it. It's lovely. It is. I think I'm going to get a bigger one, but it is a large TV. And I watch it at home. Had chili dogs with my wife and son. You know, I used to have season tickets to the Browns. And for a while, it was actually some of the worst years of my life, Browns-wise. They're all bad if you're a Browns fan, but the final straw was, of course, nobody wanted to go. And these were really good seats. These were the gentlemen's seats. There was no, like, fighting or ruckus or anything like that. The people in front of us packed their lunches. They would always have, like, a salami or bologna sandwich. They didn't want to pay for a hot dog at the game, but it was maybe 5 degrees. Nobody wanted to go, so I took my youngest son. Of course, the minute we get to the game, he has to go to the bathroom. It was going to happen eventually anyway. So as we go to the family bathroom, and as I go to open the door, and 5 people spill out, and it smells like a cloud of smoke. It was the wacky weed. And so I got mad. I'm like, man, is there no place we could go where I could take my kid? And so then we go up to our seats, and we're playing Cincinnati, and there's a guy from Cincinnati up there, big guy, and my guess is he had been drinking quite heavily for the previous 7 days. And he was screaming obscenities, and my kid's right there, and there's a lot of just kids around these seats. And I said, hey, these aren't those seats. What's going to happen is I'm going to go down and get a sheriff. And they had some of the biggest sheriffs. I don't know where they grow these people, but they were like the Amalekites from the Old Testament. They were so big. And I said, he's going to come up here, and he's going to drag you out, and they're going to hit you in the head with a club, and you're going to go to jail. And, of course, he had some choice words for me. And it turns out he knew sign language, which he showed me. And so I said, okay. I went down and I got a sheriff. And you know, the exact thing that I warned him about is what happened. 2 big sheriffs came up. He mouthed off. They grabbed him. He didn't want to go, so they're dragging him out. And on the way out, they hit him in the head with a club. And he probably went to jail. You know, they have a jail in Cleveland Stadium. They can lock you up right in the basement. So, but one of the things, that's just an aside. That has nothing to do with what we're going to talk about today. But that's why I have a big TV at home. And I watch the games at home. And we have players all over the league. So I didn't really want to be stuck downtown. I wanted to watch the different games, and if you have the NFL package, you could see every game, so it's kind of nice. But what I noticed, and what I have been noticing since the beginning of the year, is that Ohio is now a sports gambling state, and you'd have to be living under a rock not to have seen Kevin Hart and the other things, the other betting sites being advertised. It is a full court press. They've spent a lot of money getting people to realize, oh, you can go on your phone now in Ohio and gamble. And the question is, as a Christian and as a finance person, how do I square up with the gambling stocks? Can a Christian gamble on sports? Can a person being wise with their money go to these sports betting sites and feel comfortable with it? Is it a sin? There's a lot of things that are expressly mentioned in the Bible as a sin. Gambling isn't actually one of them. The way that I tend to look at this is that anything that we do that takes over, it becomes more important, or an idol, that is a sin. You could make cake a sin if that was all you thought about, and that's how you arrange your life to go eat Costco cake. I love Costco cake, but I don't want it to take over my life. And so I think about these things, and I actually equate these gambling sites and gambling stocks with pot stocks, with marijuana stocks. When states become, not just for prescription, but when states become pot legal, and you see all these pot stores pop up. If you drive to Michigan, they're on every corner. There's a dispensary. You don't need a prescription. You don't need a marijuana card. You don't need anything. You just walk in and you can buy stuff. I kind of look at these things in the same vein. And, I've always thought that, and by the way, I don't invest in either. I don't invest in pot stocks. I think they've been a loser. They had an immediate time frame where right when they came out, they were pretty popular and the values went up. But if you're a long-term investor in marijuana stocks, you're losing, and you're losing big time. And I don't think that's going to turn around. There's been a lot of pushback against pot stocks. And I think to some degree, you're going to see the same quick, euphoric equity purchases into these gambling stocks, and then they're going to kind of go by the wayside. Most people don't gamble. And I don't think it's a sin to gamble. I look at it more as entertainment versus obsession. Where do you spend your entertainment dollars? What is it that you do for... And I'm asking you to stop for a second and just think about this. What is it that you do for entertainment? Now, I'll tell you what I do. I golf. I don't golf excessively. I do belong to a country club, so I'm spending some entertainment dollars at the country club. Now, we go out to dinner there and do a couple other things there, but mainly it's a golf thing for me. And so I'm spending a X amount of dollars on that entertainment. What are you spending on entertainment, and where are you spending it? What if I stopped doing the golf membership and I just threw my clubs in the lake? I'm not going to golf anymore. And I took that money and I used it to gamble. It's the same amount of entertainment dollars. I haven't changed a thing. When I hit my limit, I'm done. I don't have to do it anymore. Is that a sin? I would say no. I don't think that's a sin. Now, is it a good idea? Financially, is it a good idea to gamble? I guess it all depends on what you're expecting from it. I actually knew somebody who was a professional card player. That's what they did for a living. They don't do it anymore. Is it the best use of our money to do that? Do we get an appropriate amount of utility out of it? And I would say no. I don't think it's a great use of our money. Now, that's a little bit of a judgy attitude by me, but it's the attitude that I have, so I'm going to own it. I don't think, personally, in fact, I hate gambling. I've been to Vegas before. My first time we went to Vegas was for a marriage retreat. We had never been there. There was a weekend to remember out there. My wife and I went. We walked around Vegas, and it's a strange place to visit for the first time because you see a lot of things just that are out of the ordinary. The slot machines, the people. I noticed a lot of elderly people, and they all had these like telephone cords with a card on the end plugged in the machine. And at first, I thought they were like captured. I didn't know why they were there, but it's their rewards card or whatever. I do think that's excessive. I think it's excessive, and so I'm not a big fan of gambling. I don't like to lose money like that. It all happened so fast too. I was in Aruba one time, and we walked into a casino. I one pull on a slot machine, I won $80 and walked out. And it never occurred to me to gamble it away again. I just walked out. I won. So I can do those things, but a lot of people can't. And I think, just like drugs, alcohol, pornography, gambling, drugs, the pot stocks, I think what happens is for the vast majority of people, it's not going to be a problem. But there is a percentage of people where it's always going to be a problem. So I think I would not choose to spend my money gambling. In fact, I choose not to spend my money gambling. And I choose not to spend my money on pot. But let me ask you this. You ever play the lottery? Have you ever played the lottery? What about when Powerball gets to be $2 billion? Have you ever played the lottery? I have. I wouldn't mind winning $1 billion. Heck, I'd do it. But is that gambling? I tend to think that the gambling sites, the pot stocks, the lottery, they're essentially a tax on the poor. People who are wise with money tend not to spend money in those places. So I will take $10 every once in a while and look at the Super Lotto. Yeah, I will. I don't think it's the wisest use of money. It's such a small percentage of my budget. The problem for people is, though, that most of the people that are in line buying lottery tickets, it's not a small percentage of their income. And they could be diverting money from something very useful to something that is so unlikely that they're going to win. But we sell this dream. That's what they do with the gambling sites, this dream that you're going to win. And I just think your odds are really poor. It's the reason why casinos stay in business, because they win a lot more than they lose. And yes, when somebody wins big, that's a big show for them. They actually don't mind it. It's like marketing dollars for them, because we've reinforced up here that, that could be me. I could do that if I just gamble enough. So my personal advice would be, I wouldn't gamble. And if you do it, I would do it with a very, very small amount of money. And I'd also have some checks and balances. And I also wouldn't smoke pot. I just don't think we need to encourage people to smoke pot, to take drugs, or to gamble any more than they already are. It just seems like a waste to me. It seems like an unnecessary diversion of capital that could be going to some really great things and improving our lives. I would choose to go to school with the money instead of... I know that sounds boring and kind of a get off my lawn moment from me, but those are long-term things that we can invest in. And that's what I would much rather prefer, that we invest long-term in ourselves than in some casino or some movie star that's promoting a site that I don't even know if they use it, but I know they get paid to talk about it. So invest in yourself instead of throwing money out. I don't know, have some entertainment dollars, have some fun, set aside something in your budget. And this is why we have budget. Your entertainment could be dinners out. It could be golf. It could be a lot of things. But budget it so you know what you're spending, and then don't go over those amounts. That's why it's so important to have a budget. So if you have questions like that, they don't have to be about the market. I feel like I've talked about the Fed so much. The bad news is not ending. The Fed's in for higher and longer with the CPI number that came out this morning. That was what the quick hit was about. So look that up when you get a chance. But I want to talk about other things in the Fed. I will talk about, from occasion, an individual stock. I don't really like doing that, and this is the reason, because I don't know if you should own that individual stock. Me talking here, I don't know anything about the people who are listening, so I'm leery of giving advice that people think is applicable to everyone because it's not. Now, the gambling and the not smoking pot is, but investing, everybody's situation is different. So you have to do the pillars of financial planning first before you can invest, and that would be budget, emergency fund, give your consumer credit a bullet, so credit cards paid off, things like that. I don't mind house debt as much as long as it's appropriate. So that's why I don't talk about individual stocks too much, but I am going to do that. And I want you to know that you can contact us. We'll get back to you. We read the emails that you send to us. We listen to the voice messages that you leave. I am David Safransky, a real American, a true patriot, and the voice you can trust.